So hello and welcome back to another episode of Scenes 4. Today we're out and about with the Alfa. Now we're going to do a few bits and pieces of this car today, mainly to be detailing. But before we get into that, I do have an electrical issue that I need to talk about again. You may have noticed in my general update video that I did earlier this week that the Alfa's parking sensor suddenly started working. Now I can't explain how they've started working, why they've started working. They've suddenly just started. This is probably the joys of Alfas, to be honest. So I think first of all, let's get into the car and let's just quickly move it back and forth and see if their parking sensors are still working. Right, so here is the moment of truth. Oh, there's no warning light at the moment. Now I do have to park by some rose bushes. Let's just move the car forward. And let's see if we can get it to go back. See if we hear parking sensors. Hey! So somehow the parking sensors fix themselves. So if any all issues were as easy as that one to sort out, cars would be so much easier if they were. However, we're going to move on now. We're going to look at some detailing. So what do I do? A lot of it's to do with the front end of the car here. There's a little bit of tidying up I'm going to do. Let's take a closer look at these headlight surrounds. As you can see, they just need a bit of cleaning, a bit of polishing, and a little bit of fettling, just to make them look a little bit tidier. Let's start off by cleaning up the headlight surrounds. I'm going to use a Simonized chrome cleaner here. All I'm going to do is put a bit of the product onto microfiber cloth. I'm then going to move all the product around, making sure I get a nice even coat over it. I'm then going to leave the product to sit on the headlight surrounds for probably about 5 minutes, and then I will buff it up with a clean microfiber. Now onto my favourite products that I've used before and I've done reviews on this product. It's the Turtle Wax Headlight Cleaner and Sealant. Really good product, nice and simple to use. You can go watch my full review for full details, but in essence all you do is put a little bit onto a microfiber cloth. These headlights aren't too bad, so they'll just buff up just by putting a little bit onto a cloth and buffing up by hand. So I will put a little material on there, work it in, leave it on for about 5-10 minutes, and then buff it up with a clean microfiber cloth. Finally, I'm going to go and dress the headlights surround using a bit of Auto Primeworks dressing. Now, normally I'd recommend that you use a microfiber applicator pad, but because you've got to get in and around the headlights, I just put a little bit onto a microfiber cloth. Alright, then we'll work it around, make sure I get a nice even coat over all of the plastics, and then I will let it dry. It's as simple as that. And here is the finished result. Now there's a little bit of the dressing just to dry at the bottom there, but hopefully you'll agree it's a whole lot better. The chrome could come up a little bit better. It is a little bit pitted in places. Unfortunately not going to get up with a chrome clear, but overall I'm really pleased with the results. Now let's move on to the other parts of the car, and I'm going to show you the bonnet detail here. So the problem I had with the bonnet was you had all these little bits of tree sap, which are going to be, as we'll find out, a little bit more difficult to remove than I first thought. Firstly, I'm going to make sure I've got a nice clean surface to work with, so I'm going to use some Auto Primeworks detailer just to spray over the bonnet and give it a little bit of a clean. There's no real technique to this, you just spray a bit on and then buff it up with a microfiber cloth. I would advise though that less is certainly more with these waterless cleaners. Just try and get this stubborn mark off the bonnet. I'm going to use a clay bar and give this a go first of all. So I've got my Ultravest clay bar and also Ultravest Glide, which is a clay bar lubricant. You're simply going to cut off a little bit of the clay bar I'm only doing the whole bonnet and a few other little bits, so I'm not going to use a whole quarter of a clay bar. I've cut off probably about an eighth of a clay bar. All you're going to do is just spray a bit of the lubricant on there and just go over with the clay bar until it feels quite smooth. You'll know a difference. It will feel a little bit rough being with once you're on the clay bar a couple of times out, run it over the surface, then it will start to feel a lot smoother. Once you're happy with the results, then all I would suggest is wiping off the excess lubricant just by using a waterless cleaner. Now the clay bar didn't quite get the results I wanted, and there was still a little bit of the marks on there, so I've decided to use this Ultra Finesse Obliterate, which is a tar and glue remover. So all I was going to do was put a little bit on just to a microfiber applicator and go over the parts that are affected. I'm going to let it rest on the bonnet just for about sort of 5-10 minutes, and then we'll wipe it off and see how we get on. Now even with this tree and tar remover, there still were some marks on the bonnet. It was a lot better than it was, but I'm going to have to go and research how to get these off. On this occasion I've decided that the bonnet actually was really good quality in terms of the paint. There wasn't many scratches in there, so no deep scratches, a few little light superficial ones, but I've decided just to use a polish rather than a compound. So this is the Auto Finesse Triple Polish. I've used it lots and lots of times for many years now. Always brings a good result. It's very simple to use. Again, put a few bits onto a microfiber pad, just move it over and then let it dry for about sort of 10 minutes or so. If it's a sunny day, make sure you get off a little bit sooner, maybe only leave 5, and then once you're ready, just wipe it off with a microfiber cloth and just buff it up to a nice shine. So to finish off, I'm just going to apply a spray wax. Now this is the Auto Finesse Glisten Spray Wax. I've used plenty of times, product I've definitely recommend using. It's so simple to use as well. All you do is spray a nice even amount on, move it around the bodywork and then buff it up to a nice shine. That was an awful lot of effort, but thankfully overall the results are worth it. The bonnet now looks a lot closer to the panels that have been resprayed in terms of the colour difference. There's still a little bit of difference on there, but it's a lot better than it was. You can actually feel the bonnet feels a lot smoother than it did before. Okay, we've still got a few of these tree sap on there, which I'm going to have to research and see if any other products maybe to try and get the little bits off now. However, I do believe that it is better than it was before, and it isn't quite as noticeable as it was before. Some of it has come off, but some of the big pits here, it's my only products I've used have really struggled to break that down, actually get it off. So another thing that I will look at for another day really. But I'm really happy with the way the bonnet's come off. I'm really happy with the way the bumpers. There were some very light scratches on the bumper here, which have all come out. I'm really pleased about that. So yeah, really pleased how this car's coming along. So my future plans for the Alfa, I'm just planning to use it and enjoy it for a little bit. MOT I think is early June, so I'm going to use it up till that point, get it for an MOT, and then take a decision about this car. If I still continue to enjoy it, I might be a chance I still keep it. However, sort of the idea when I bought the Alfa was to have it for 6 months, use it and enjoy it, and then move it on. So I'm going to start doing more driving videos for this car. I'm hoping to go over to Wales soon, or at least do something else, a little day trip somewhere, to actually use and enjoy this car. And yeah, that's what I want to do in the next couple of months, is actually use and enjoy this car. So today's just been a little bit of sort of messing about with the Alfa, seeing if I can get improved any more than they can. I'm really pleased with the outcome, to be honest. I know there's a few little bits on there, but I can sort of overlook that, and I'll continue to research some different products to get that off. So thank you very much for watching. It's going to be goodbye from me, goodbye from the Alfa, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.